countdown. I didn't realize it did the countdown.
And these are on, right?
Yeah, these are on. Well, you can also check.
Check. Hold on, we're going to check. We're going to do a mic check
Mic check.
on my phone. This is how we do it so that we can see.
Hi, everybody who's joining. We're just getting started, so we're checking everything.
Checking the mics. Why is this not?
Is it connected?
Oh, I bet it's still connected to the headphones.
Oh, the headphones.
Which is weird because I put them on the charger. It's connected to the headphones and the laptop.
How does it connect to the laptop?
I don't know. It just connects on its own.
As you can tell, like, we are slow with technology. Okay, so it's working.
Yep. So, welcome back again to the podcast. Co-host what?
He invites you to co-host.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
They're inviting you to co-host.
Yeah, well, it went away.
It went away. So welcome again to the podcast. I guess you can start it all off so I can write my notes down and stuff. We always start it too early.
This is well because we wanted to get ready. Did you set a timer too? Because we have to go to the basketball. No. Okay, so this is Together Out Loud. We do it on my personal TikTok for now. But if you want to go follow our podcast page, it's Together Out Loud. At the first week of February, I can actually change the handle, but I was able to change the name at least. So you should be able to just search Together Out Loud. We have to have 50 followers on our podcast page in order to go live on that page. So if you're not following and want to follow and want to see us go live, follow us. It is a podcast about marriage, relationships, religion, anything that we want to talk about, basically. But we are a married couple, have been married for 10 years, and we wanted to start a podcast together. We also have a YouTube channel, Together_Out_Loud, and that is the same as our Instagram. And we are on Spotify, which we basically take this recording and we upload it to Spotify and to YouTube. So if you ever want to come up as a guest, that's just a little disclaimer that we do put it on those platforms. So if you're not interested in being on those platforms, you can hide yourself or decline or what have you. We also have an email address, tolpodcast15, at gmail.com. So if you ever want to share any questions or discussions that you want to see us talk about, you can email us, send it in a chat, private message us, follow us on our other podcast page, follow us on Instagram and send us a message anywhere, because we're checking all those platforms all the time and we post clips and things like that. And this is episode 5, right?
Yes.
So this is episode 5. He's just writing notes down that he wants to talk about. He, throughout the week, will put them in his phone and then he'll write them down on a piece of paper. But I guess just a recap of last week. We actually did 2 episodes last week because episode 3, we were having technical difficulties. I just got these new Bluetooth mics and we have like a very amateur setup right now. Eventually we are going to have a room dedicated to the podcast, but since we're just getting started, we're slowly just investing in these other things. So yeah, we had some technical difficulties, but we talked about a subject that we disagree on, and we basically showed you how you can disagree in a healthy way, and that kind of led into our bonus episode that we talked about the way modern couples fight differently than our parents did. So we kind of discussed that a little bit, and basically how to disagree without blowing up. And sometimes that could be hard, but blowing up is counterproductive in my opinion. So really just being honest and open communication and compromise. Jason touched base on Jordan Peterson and his advice on marriage. Basically it's compromise and communication. If you don't have those 2 things, you're going to be struggling in a marriage.
Yes. We also touched on if you should take advice from non-Christians as a Christian when it comes to life or anything regarding the Bible. She's going to grab her water quick. Again, this podcast will also have a lot of stuff that is faith-based because she and I are both strong believers in Jesus Christ being our Lord and Savior. I was taking a drink right there. And when we go over this recap of what we did in the previous episodes, it's basically so that if anybody is interested in any of these things that we mentioned, feel free to go back and watch episode 4. Episode 3 is really choppy and really chopped up. Unfortunately, that was a really good conversation that we had, but that one's, it's pretty difficult to understand because our voices really, they blank out a lot. So if you guys are interested in any of that, we also talked about Jordan Peterson and whether he's a Christian or not and our beliefs in that. This morning, we watched a video together, and it was about, I don't know why I was telling you to swipe right. It was about conservative Christians versus liberal Christians, which I'm going to be honest, in my opinion, as judgmental as this sounds, I think liberal Christian is an oxymoron. I don't think there's a such thing as a liberal Christian. So if you hear this, feel free to comment, feel free to post it in the chat, or feel free to email us at tolpodcast15@gmail.com because we would love to have you as a guest if you feel that you are a liberal Christian. And the reason I say that, in my opinion, I don't think that you can be both liberal and Christian is because while I have a very open and fluid view on the Bible, I still believe that the Bible is concrete in its rules and in its soundness, I guess, so to speak, for lack of a better term. I think that it can affect everyone differently, and it's a different journey through the Bible for you. And again, as I mentioned in the last episode, it will affect everybody differently when they read it. And every year you read it, it's going to affect you differently. But I think that many of the rules remain the same regardless of how you choose to interpret them. We also discussed why we disagree differently than our parents did and their parents and so on and so forth. We had a guest up. We had Dan up. We think that a lot of it might be cultural. A lot of it may be different generations. Like our parents' generation was taught more to be quiet and suck it up, so to speak, more than we are. So, and I also mentioned in that I am optimistic. I think that we are headed in the right direction, especially as men, because men are definitely more open than we used to be in the past. And I think things like this actually help to be an outlet for people who struggle with manhood, testosterone, masculinity, and things like that. Mental health, yes. Yeah, because we actually spoke about that a lot, and we'll have a lot of things based on mental health as well. And just a quick side note for the video that we were watching today, because they kind of got into LGBTQIA and all of that stuff. And I agree that Christians can be very off-putting when they use the Bible as a weapon to judge and tell you, like, you're doing this or you're going to go to hell. I don't agree with that. Because I don't know. I don't know where you're going to go. As far as the Bible states, as long as if you're not saved by Jesus Christ, then you're going to. So that's the only given fact that I know and am sure of. So that's my stance on it. As far as, because a lot of people will talk about the sinful nature of LGBTQ, People will speak of the sinful nature of it, but they always fail to mention that it's still just a sin. You can still be saved and seek salvation even in a sinful lifestyle. Because like I mentioned before, I'm sinful. I don't suffer from that particular sin, but I don't think someone being a homosexual is any different than someone being an alcoholic. They're both sins. They're both sins in God's eyes. And it's no different than gluttony, which I suffer from because I love sugar, I love carbs, and I also suffer from porn. Porn is extremely difficult. I actually was just watching a video.
Say that word?
Oh, corn. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you can't say that. No, that's good. That's fine. Thank you for mentioning that because we can get flagged and then they whatever. Anyways, I was actually just watching Dr. Berg. I mentioned him on here before. Dr. Berg, B-E-R-G. If you want to get on YouTube, check him out. Subscribe to his channel. He has a lot of valuable information when it comes to health and stuff like that. And I actually was just watching a video. He was talking about corn and the corn industry and how we're not addicted to intercourse and the visual of it so much as we are addicted to the dopamine that it feeds us, which is, he related it to the same to food. And I think that's why I struggle with both, because I mean, I love me some sugar, but it's good. It just tastes good. It's yummies. Anyways, num-nums. But I do agree with him. I think that the corn industry is similar in that it pulls you in with that dopamine. And that's how you get addicted. But I will just mention what he said quickly before we go into the episode. He said that he thinks the way to get out of corn and out of the addiction of that is to become bored with it and become annoyed with it. And I was like, that's kind of a good idea. Yeah. He's like, so anytime that you start to think those thoughts, because it really is, it drives you. He mentioned how food, for instance, the dopamine and the way it hits you back in the day, you were lucky to get food, once every 3, 4, 5 days, so you were fasting. You were doing a lot of fasting and not eating, our ancestors. And that's the way it was back then. And now food's so readily available that we're just like, well, why not eat? I think it's the same thing with corn. Back in the day, it wasn't so easy to find a partner. It wasn't so easy to find a mate. And now you can see hundreds of beautiful women in one day, completely nude. Don't know if I can say nude, but I'm using that word. In one day. So that's the addictive side of it. So he said to just try to become annoyed and bored with it. And I was like, that's actually a good idea. Just like when you feel that drive, because the dopamine is actually what drives you. So that when the dopamine hits you, it's going to make you be like, oh, I want to go check this out. But instead, just be like, oh, here we go again. Be a little annoyed by it.
I have a question. So I eat out of boredom. So how do I manage that one?
Maybe same thing. I don't know. That was his suggestion. Yeah. Like just be annoyed by it. Like, oh, here we go. Delicious, yummy, scrumptious food. Scrumptious num-nums. So today we're going into today's episode, Keeping Romance Alive After Kids. We're going to go straight into this, guys, with date nights on a budget. So, because of course it's important to still have your time alone, still have date nights, and try to do it on a budget, because you also have kids. You're trying to take care of yourselves, them. So, I mean, obviously, I'm smiling right now because obviously you're not gonna. We don't have the money to be like, let's take a trip to the Bahamas every month. I would love to, because I'd bring the kids with us. But
that's our problem. We want to take the kids.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with the date nights on a budget by saying sometimes. I mean, it can cost a little more, but sometimes like the budget conscious thing to do is to bring the kids with you. If you don't have a babysitter, it'll save you the money on the babysitter. So, I mean, thankfully we're just starting to get there to where I'm going to take a drink.
Okay.
To where, actually, I'll finish my thought, then I'll let you go with it, and then I'll take a drink. We're starting to get to the point where our kids can kind of fend for themselves a little bit, so we can kind of do date nights without having to bring them. But if you have to bring them along. And just you can still find enjoyment and pleasure in each other's company, even with people, even with your children there. I mean, you created them together. But like she and I, we need to get back into this, but we didn't because we were fasting. We were like cutting off sugar, which we did really well with. We didn't cheat at all.
No.
Not at all. We didn't, not one time, maybe. Kind of. Anyways, but we will...
No cheating at all.
No cheating at all. But we will go across the street. There's a diner. So we'll leave the kids here. We'll go over and we'll split a dessert. And that's just kind of like, at least once a week. That was a suggestion that Dr. Jordan Peterson had, which was still find time for yourselves, even if it's just a short amount of time. We need to get back into it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, because we stopped because we were trying to cut out sugar. But every Wednesday we would do it. In the afternoon, we would go over there, and and the kids are right here across the street, so it's not like it's. I know many people will judge on that, but I don't really care. I remember being in first, second grade, being left alone at the house, so it's not. Your kids aren't going to. I mean, at least at a responsible age, they're not going to burn the house down or do anything crazy, but that's something that we do. And if you want to kind of touch on date nights on a budget, because that's also cheap. We just get a dessert, we split it, we talk, we enjoy each other's company. I get to enjoy looking at this beautiful face while we're over there, and we usually make faces like this beautiful face.
That's his favorite face.
But we get to enjoy each other's company and some just intimate time together.
My turn?
Yeah. You don't have to ask. Just like I said, you can interrupt me.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt because I know how you can lose your train of thought, and that can be frustrating.
I'll write it down if you ever interrupt.
Kind of piggybacking on the date night, he actually, and I don't know if this was Jordan Peterson's idea as well, but that is a local small business diner, so we are promoting and supporting small businesses, but he also said that this is a way for you to get involved in the community too and get to be known in the community. And I know that's something small, but we are not originally from the town that we live in, and it's a pretty small town, so you have people who grew up together, and so they may not be quick to accept outsiders, and I say that like very nicely. I'm like not judging anybody, but I like that because then the waitresses and people there would get to know us coming in doing our dessert. They got to know that we didn't need a menu, we were just doing dessert. We also around Christmas time, we would go over there and give a pretty significant tip, which I'm not like trying to boast or anything, but that's something that we feel good about doing, because it's just something to give back to, again, people who are serving their community. So yeah, I agree with that. And going on the children and age thing and stuff like that, I really think it should be based on maturity level, not necessarily age. Depending on the age, a certain age is what I mean. So you're not gonna like leave a 2-year-old at home by themselves, but depending on the age and maturity level. And like he said, we are right over there. And again, luckily we are in a small town that I trust the neighbor right next door here to kind of keep an eye out on things too. So that's nice. We're lucky enough that we have my mom who often will watch our kids, and his sister recently watched our kids, and they don't expect anything in return. So that's nice to have family watching the kids. They get to spend time with the kids and you don't have to pay them. Another thing is we are lucky enough that and this will probably go into one of the things that I wanted to touch base on with alone intimacy time, but we kind of, I don't want to say train because that sounds like they're animals, but we did kind of condition them to give us time to ourselves when we're at home too. So even if we want to watch like a movie that may not be appropriate for them because of violence and sex or anything like that, we can have a little date in our room where we can get takeout and veg out in our room and watch a movie. We absolutely love movies. So that is even something where we get to spend time together on a budget. But really, we don't do anything super elaborate. Our favorite things are going to dinner and dinner to one of our favorite restaurants and then going to see a movie. But a lot of times we're like, we want to take the kids with us too. But I don't know, maybe it's unhealthy the way we want to spend time with our kids so much. But I feel like at this age,
they're
like,
great people.
Yeah, well, and at this age, why
really
wouldn't you? Because
they're great kids.
He always tells me, which I'm trying to like embrace this time and really enjoy it, because he does say like there's going to be a point, which I'm in denial about this, so I'm hoping that even as teenagers they're going to want to hang out with us, but he says there's going to be a point where they're going to want their own time to themselves and independence and be with their friends more and stuff like that, and then I'm gonna miss this time. So that's why I'm like, why wouldn't we want to spend as much time with them as we can now before they decide that we're not cool enough to hang out with?
And I'm just going to touch a little bit on, because she said about going over there and the community starts to get to know us. And we do other things as well. We volunteer. That's a good thing to do. I took Jordan Peterson's advice as well on that, is getting out there and becoming a part of your community and trying to help in a positive way. And also I felt that draw through Jesus Christ as well, because I say prayers before games. I coach, I ref, I do a bunch of different things. And this isn't like to toot my own horn or like to be like, look at me, look at how great I am. This is more just to try to be a positive influence and a positive role model for kids, for others in the community, and also to like reach out and find the people who need the help and need the support. And I also wanted to touch a little bit on, like she mentioned, like when we watch movies with them, stuff like that has violence and intimacy and stuff in the movies. I personally don't mind that stuff being in movies. I view it, everyone to each their own, but I view it, the reason I'm okay with it is the kids are going to be a part of this world and they're going to see these things someday anyway. So I'd rather them see it with me, so that way if they have a question, we're always very open, very open-minded. So if they have a question about it, we're there to be like, hey, ask, because I'd rather them ask us and learn from us than ask somebody else and learn from them. And Theo actually just mentioned this on his podcast that I listened to yesterday. I don't know if I would do this, but he was like, go to your kids, talk to them, and find out like, hey, what kind of words have you heard lately? Like, have you heard the word coochie? Like, what? And then explain to them what that is. And I was like, I don't know, because I'm not trying to introduce the words to them, but I guess it's a good suggestion to say, yeah, go to them instead. That way they're not learning these things from somebody else. They're learning them from you. And that way it will instill like the morals and values that you have, because everything, of course, like I've stated, we're gonna bring through the Bible.
Yeah, and also there's very few times that there are movies that we think they can't handle. But like if it's something, actually it's more of if it's something that's gonna like freak them out horror-wise, like the Terrifier.
Yeah, the Terrifier we didn't do. I was like, that was too much. Yeah, well, because the chainsaw with the girl, I was like, nope, that's just too much.
Yeah, so something like that.
So some things can be a little bit too far. So thankfully we watched that alone, and we were like, nope, I'm not going to introduce this one to them.
There's another movie that we decided to watch, and I can't remember, it was recently, but I can't remember what it was, but I know it was one that was going to be psychologically bad, I think. I'll have to try to figure that out. But yeah, there's very few, because we remind them that this is pretend, it's not real life and all that. But another thing, I agree with him on this, like if they have questions or if they're curious about certain adult things, I'd much rather them come to me. Also, because I don't want them to feel like shame about having questions about it, because when I was younger, I felt really embarrassed and shameful to talk to my mom about anything like that, even if it was just like questions and curiosity. So I got my information from education at school, from friends, cousins, from movies, which can be either romanticized or scare tactics, depending on where you're getting information from. And so I kind of feel like I kind of feel cheated. I don't know if you'll be able to hear them or not. I don't know. Cheated out on certain things because of the fact that I was really embarrassed to talk to my parents about it, and that's because it was like shameful to talk about that stuff.
She's creeping off real quick. And the second topic that we want to get into is, your mic's still going to be picking up, I believe, babe, unless you muted it. Sorry. Yeah, she used her sign language. So the second topic we wanted to get into is just small daily habits that can help keep you connected. These are things that we do often. I would say the first and foremost is
getting close.
Did you unplug something? You did. Oh, you knocked the plug out.
My bad.
This is how awesome we are. She was trying to be cute and knocked the plug out. But where was I at? Oh, so small daily habits. Like one thing we do, we're definitely like me especially. I'm big on touch, so I will touch her a lot. let's be appropriate, people. But like
affectionately.
affectionately. But I will touch her a lot. Kiss. We definitely make sure we kiss when we see each other. Kiss when we're going somewhere.
Holding
hands. We do that often. Love. We constantly. I mean, we're always telling each other we love each other. We're always telling the kids that we love them, because to me that's very important, so that people always know. And I know that a lot of people will like see this or hear this and be like, oh, but doesn't that, man, I couldn't imagine like being with someone that's just like, I love you. But that to me is
like the person that you're with.
Yeah, that to me is important. Like I feel like if you feel that way, then maybe you should. Maybe you should try to love them a little more and try to be a little more interested in them. And furthermore, I think it helps because they don't ever have to worry about your feelings towards them, because they know them. And that's the reason why we tell it with the kids as well.
Yeah, and I noticed that they will randomly say I love you to us now too, so that and to each other. So
and even like when we call each other, we have a little contest where I speed through and she loses every time. Mm-hmm. That's fun too. Make a contest out of it. Like, see who can say it all the fastest. Like, I love you most, most, and so on and so forth. Like, and then whoever gets it out first wins. Like, I win. I love you the most. Booyah.
And sometimes we make bets, and
sometimes we make bets.
Win the bet, then we win for the rest of
the day. Yeah. We'll make like a bet. Like, she got me on George Michael, for instance, because I thought it was George Michaels with an S, and she was like, bet. And I was like, what? What are we betting? And she said, I'll bet you the rest of the year that it's just George Michael without the S. And she got me. And then I got her with What If God Was One of Us?
Lyric.
Just a stranger on the bus is the lyric. She thought it was just a stranger among us.
Well, that's because...
Just some bro among us on a bus. Just a stranger on the bus. We pick on each other too. This is also what keeps your marriage healthy and happy and alive. So, I mean, because you got to rub those wins in. Like, she rubs it in my face when she, oh, George Michaels. So, you got to do stuff like that because it makes it fun. But it is a stranger on the bus. So, I win. And I won one for that year.
I think some other daily habits, too, are just like, and this is corny, but it is something that is... I really like when he does something like to make me think like, oh, he was like thinking of me. Like if he brings him a drink or a snack, a goodie, because it also reminded me of my dad when he would bring me home something. So, and not to like, that's weird, not to be weird about like Jason reminding me of my dad, but it's like a nostalgic thing. Where it's like, oh, you were thinking of me, so you picked that up and brought it home.
And it also works with like simple things, like in the morning she'll go out and start the car, like while I'm packing my lunch and stuff like that, like teamwork and helping out. And she might not realize it, but that's like a daily habit that like I appreciate so much, and I'm just like, wow, like look at this, like I can't believe that my wife is so caring that she just does these little tiny things. Making eggs, like, hey, here I made some eggs for your lunch. That's another thing. Just daily habits that really show that you care.
Habits that make your life a little bit easier too. So
that too.
Even just like a little thing of starting the car. He is particular about like being early to something. So like he's focused on like getting ready for work and stuff like that. So what if he's like so focused on that, then he forgot to start the car even, and he's like, crap. And that kind of like, I know how his brain works a little bit, so if something is a little bit off with his routine, it kind of throws.
Because she'll also help me with like, is your headset in your ear? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Do you have your drink?
Because that way we can call. Do you have your drink? Because I've left my drink in our mudroom a bunch of times. Like I've just left it sitting there as I leave. I put my boots on, sit my drink there, put my boots on, I take off, and I'm like, oh, I forgot my drink. And then I'm calling her and just saying, hey, I forgot my drink. Because that's your husband. Congrats.
As a wife too, like I don't want to make his life more difficult than what it is. So if there's anything that I can do that's not going to be like that I can just do, you know what I mean? Like if it's something that like I can do, that I can do. Even when you're old and
she'll do that
soil yourself, I will clean your diapers. But to make his life easier. Why would I want to make something more difficult? That would make my life more difficult too, because then he's in a bad mood if I do something that I mean, it's
likewise. She's in a bad mood when I do something stupid.
Yeah.
But also, and then remain intimate. Just make sure you stay intimate. And like for instance, like intimacy for us, for instance, I hinted at this in our last episode that I would explain the way we handle intimacy with our children. And I said in the last episode, I gave a little hint, and that was it's from the show Vikings, which it is. So in the show Vikings, I can't remember the main character's name, but Bjorn was his son's name. And Bjorn is outside, and the main character's brother comes up to him, and he's like, "Where are your parents at?" And he says, "In the tent." I can't use the word, but being intimate, but he says the SEX word. I'll spell it because they'll check mark you for that. Mm-hmm. But he says they're in the tent, they're, being intimate. And I was like, I kind of like that. Because I like the honest approach of like, this is what we are going to do. We are adults. This is a thing that adults do and the thing that adults are allowed to do. And one day when you're an adult, you will do this as well. Give us our time and our privacy. Because one of the main reasons I went with this approach was because my parents, I remember being little and we were more curious about it. They were less open. Again, not a dig on my parents or the way that they handled it, but they just weren't open about it. So we were curious. So what do curious kids do? They're listening to the door and they're like, "Ooh, what are they doing in there?" They're knocking, they're throwing shoes at the door, making a bunch of noise, ha ha ha, laughing and running away. Their dad's coming out because he'd come out and be like, "Yeah, you kids, ah!" That's my impersonation of my dad. "Oh, you kids, you can't just leave us alone, eh?" But I feel like if they had been honest with us, they might have gotten more opportunities and a better quality of alone time together. And that's what we call it. We will say to the kids, we'll be like, "Hey, we're going to go practice some alone time. And you got to leave us alone because that's alone time for us." So, and sometimes they'll knock and ask,
"Hey, can I have a snack?
Yeah,
can I play my iPad?" Just
bonehead questions. "Hey, I want a snack." And at that time, we're just like, "Eat whatever you want. Eat everything in the house." Because we don't care at that moment. We're just trying to do some stuff for ourselves. Just leave us alone just for a little bit. Just give me a minute.
And I think, well, you mentioned on your parents. My parents, I don't even remember, obviously they had an alone time, but I don't even remember it ever being discussed or anything like that. So the first time I learned about alone time was through cousins. So movies, because we were a big movie family too. So I would see nakedness and stuff like that and just kind of put two and two together. But my parents never talked about that stuff. And again, that goes with feeling kind of shameful and embarrassed if I had questions about that stuff or thought about it or whatever. That I'm with him. When he first talked about it and how he wanted to approach it, I was like, I like that idea too, because then it helps them to learn respect too, and it also helps them to be comfortable doing something alone. I know that they have each other that they play and stuff when we have our alone time, but even if they want to do something by themselves, or one of our sons, he goes up and plays he builds Legos if he could build Legos all day long, that's what he would do in his room on his own. He doesn't need anybody else to entertain them, and I think that's very important as a person to be able to be comfortable being alone. So as we are having alone time, they have to figure out something to do to entertain themselves, so that's teaching them. And also, like he said, as they get older, it's going to be something that is just a normal thing. And I feel like sometimes couples make it an excuse when they have kids that their alone time pretty much diminishes, and it shouldn't be that way. Trust me, I know how life happens, and you have all these other things going on in life that you have to take care of, and you feel like you don't have time for each other. but that's where you make time for each other. And so I think that's part of the issue as to why married couples don't have as much alone time as they used to when they were dating or before kids. It really is just an excuse. If there's something that is important to you, you're going to find time to do it.
And also, I think it's beneficial for them as well. I think it's beneficial in helping them to cope. Jordan Peterson mentions this. It's often the mother who fails that succeeds. And what he means by that, that's a good quote. And what he means by that is that it's, as weird as this sounds, it's the mother who fails her children that is more successful at raising her children. And what he means by saying that is, when you're failing your children, you're allowing them more independence and allowing them more time for themselves to figure out who they are themselves, rather than forcing them a certain direction or a certain way that you particularly want them to go. So I think it's beneficial. Sorry, our oldest came in. It's beneficial to them because of the fact that they will have more time alone together for themselves as well, for the 3 children. So they'll learn how to cope together. They'll learn how to get along better. They'll learn how to disagree. Because mom and dad aren't around. We're having alone time. We're off doing our own thing. So now, we try to give them time together as much as possible as well, because that's society. That's how you become social. That's how you build structure in a society. You're not going to learn how to be social and how to negotiate in life without these times that you get alone with siblings or with other people. Cat's up here again. He loves coming up here when we're up here. But you're not going to have that time other than if you're at school or something like that. So I think that helps benefit them in building social lives for themselves, because they learn how to negotiate. And we even when they disagree, when we're around, we same thing. We try to encourage them to come to conclusions and solutions on their own, instead of trying to be like, this is what you need to do. Now, sometimes we'll intervene and we'll step in and do stuff like that if it's just they're not willing to negotiate. But I love the negotiative part of life that is present, when it comes to if she wants to watch this show and you want to watch this show, how about we compromise and try to find something we can watch together? Or you can tell her, I'll give you 10 minutes watching that show, and then I want 10 minutes watching my show. These are things that they can learn from and that they'll benefit from. That's definitely my opinion on that.
I can completely understand how a mom or dad intervening can actually hinder them, because I'm one of those where I'm a fixer, so I just have to fix it. And so I think I've been getting better with also negotiating with them too, and compromising instead of just telling them this is how you're going to solve this. But there are definitely times where I just want to fix it so they're not arguing anymore or anything like that. Yeah. Only out of pure frustration on my part. And then I get more frustrated when they're always coming to me saying, Mom, he's copying me, or he won't let me watch TV, or whatever silly thing that they are fighting about. And so I can see why they always come to me like that, because of the fact that I'm just going to hurry up and fix it. But they're never going to learn that if I'm just telling them how to fix things.
Yep.
And like he said, we're not going to be around forever. And also they're going to need to know how to problem solve, and they need to learn conflict resolution as they get older too, in the workplace or in relationships or at home trying to fix something, whatever the case may be. That is an essential life skill, and if I'm just fixing everything all the time for them, they're not going to know what to do. I can't hear what you're saying. Can you please wait?
And so Jordan Peterson actually mentions that as well, is he says, please wait. So he says there's a particular instance in his life where he's about to fight a gentleman and his mom comes by and he can see his mom coming in the distance, and in his head the entire time he's like, please don't say anything, please don't say anything, please don't say anything. Because as a mother, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to break it up. You want to protect your young, you want to protect them. But especially in boys, it's very important for boys to find their independence, because that's what's going to help turn them into men. And obviously you want to encourage them and say, conflict resolution should come with words first, and controlling emotions. Those are two things that I try my best to encourage the kids, because many times in my life, those are my two failures. My two failures are saying things that I shouldn't have said, and saying those things because I couldn't control my emotions and couldn't control my temper or my anger. So I want them to learn how to do that, because that's going to benefit you in life. Obviously, if it gets physical, you want to be able to handle yourself physically as well. Jordan Peterson, for instance, he said that he just was very wise with words and was kind of like a wisecrack, because that was his defense. So if he could get the kids to laugh, then, it would turn the group kind of, at least this is what I'm assuming he meant by that, it would turn the tide and kind of turn the group in his favor of like, oh man, he's pretty witty. Because people do like witty people, when you have a nice witty comeback, they're like, yeah, that was pretty witty. And then he also explained like times where it didn't work either. But you definitely want them to have that independence, because the minute the mom intervenes there, now not only do you get ragged on by the kids around you, because it's like, oh, he had to have his mommy come. It's kind of similar to a time when my wife called my job. She called a job. I was working
Why did I?
Because they were messing my schedule. Like they would just work me nights, then morning, then this, then that, and then this, then that. It was ACV. And she was very upset about just how they were just kind of dicking me around all over the place. Just like, work this time, I'll call you in, blah, blah, blah. So she got so mad, she actually called the office and she spoke with my boss.
Was I pregnant?
And I believe you might have been with Lennox. She called my boss, and I'm going to say I'll just say the initial. She called Kay, and I come home from work that day, and I hadn't known yet, but she had told me, and I was like, oh no. Because I knew, because this is just how boys and men are, man. We'll rag on you. It's fun. It's all lighthearted and fun. Like, none of them meant anything offensive by it. They thought it was just as hilarious as I did. But I go back in the next day, and I'm just drudging it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. So the minute I opened the door for the garage, because we would every morning we would have a meeting for the JSAs we had to fill out and stuff like that for confined space entry, CSE, and stuff like that. We would go over it, and I walk in, and P is sitting on a chair, and Kyle's standing, and A is kind of standing over here. And the minute I walk in, they all snap their heads, they look over at me, and they all just start smirking. And I immediately knew, I was like, they're talking about me. They're talking about me. They're talking about my wife calling in. And Kyle's like, so how was dinner? How was your time off? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, good, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, guys, just got to let you know, try to take it a little easy on him today. You don't want his wife calling in, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, here we go. And of course, we're all laughing and we're jawing. And it's fun. That's just what men do. And so, but in short, that's why you don't want to do that, because that's the first thing that's going to happen. The second thing that's going to happen is you may be bullied more mercilessly, and also you yourself may never come to the realization that your mommy and daddy can't come and save you and rescue you every time. Mm-hmm. So you really genuinely do have to learn how to handle things on your own. I am fortunate. That's something that where my parents were successful is my mom and dad were very big on, as long as they don't touch me, everything's okay. The minute they put their hands on you, though, that's when it gets physical. Like, you have to defend yourself. And even Jordan Peterson has spoken about this. If you don't, they will continue to bully you. If you want to end bullying, you have to protect yourself. Now, unfortunately, the sad part of that is now the bully's going to then go and turn on somebody who is less inclined to stand up for themselves and less inclined to get physical. But that's that's just the nature of the beast. And also, see, so we raise our children in the same manner, but I also raise them to defend others as well, though. I really want them to be courageous and show bravery and speak up where they see injustice. And if like a little kid's getting picked on, you speak up against the bully. I don't know if you have anything to add.
I always tell, which, okay. So, I don't know if any other boy moms are the same.
And sorry, I'm going to interrupt real quick. She keeps talking to him. That's one thing we need to teach our kids too. Patience. They have to learn to be patient. Yeah. Again, this is just an hour that we take out of our time. He needs to learn to be like, Mom and Dad will be done in, 20, 30 minutes. And then they'll come and they'll address the issue of whatever's going on. It's not anything serious. It's a game. He wants a game. He wants to look at a game. He wants a game. Game. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's why
Don't buy gaming systems for your kids. Zero gaming systems. Sorry, I interrupted your train of thought, but don't buy game systems. No iPads, no gaming systems. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know if other boy moms feel this way, but I feel a little bit more overprotective of my boys than my daughter. Make that make sense? Because I don't know. I don't have any logic.
And for me, it's the opposite.
Yeah, so
I feel more protective over my daughter than the boys.
Yeah, I think it's because like I know how girls are, and maybe he knows how boys are, so that's why we're protective of the opposite. So yeah, I definitely go mama bear.
Well, it's also because like I feel like I have to protect her the same way I protect my wife.
Right.
I just that's one of my jobs. One of my jobs is a protector. I have to take care of them, and I gotta pull the pew pew if I have to, or throw some hands if I have to.
And and we're teaching the boys to protect their little sister too. But I go mama bear. Even I it's way worse when I'm pregnant. But I even protected I thought I was protecting a coworker who was being harassed inappropriately by a client, and the comment like went over her head, and I like snapped on him and wanted him kicked out of the facility. But anyway, so yeah, I have my whole mama bear in me for everybody if I feel like they are being attacked in some way. But I do completely understand how it could be embarrassing for your mom to come to your defense. And we also teach the kids to always give everybody a warning. If they're bothering you, bullying you, say, listen to me. This is your one and only warning. If you do not stop, I'm going to hit you. And I say...
But they have to follow through. They got to follow through, because if you threaten it and then nothing comes of it, then this person's going to be like, oh, you're full of shit. You're not going to do anything, and they're going to continue to do it.
See, as a parent, don't do the empty threats, because my son...
Follow through with it. If you're going to threaten, then you got to follow through with it. And counting works. We'll give you that advice, and I'm sure you've already heard it, but counting does work. Jordan Peterson uses counting as well. Hey, I'm going to give you the count of 10, and you need to do what I'm telling you to do, or there's going to be consequences. Because the kids learn real quick that system of action consequence.
Yes, and we try to teach them there's positive and negative consequences to everything. Even in a good behavior, there's a positive and negative.
Sorry.
So I'm trying to keep his butt down.
So the camera, we'll get blocked. We'll get blocked. They'll be like, cat butt block you.
But we always say, try not to start the fight, but you certainly are going to finish it. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And I don't even know how we got on the subject of that.
We did, like I said, we just end up kind of off in charades.
Can we shut that door, please?
And again, feel free to join in the chat, guys. Feel free to ask any questions or comment any comments that you may have. Feel free to reach out to us at the email at tolpodcast15@gmail.com. And the last thing we're going to touch on here is the difference between emotional and physical connection. And I would say, for me at least, it's 50-50, but I definitely... If I were to give my opinion, I feel like the emotional connection is more important. The reason for that is because you never know how long you could be physical anyway. Eventually, parts stop working. Eventually, you could get harmed. You could end up in a wheelchair, kind of like the guy said to Theo, like, I used to be in a wheelchair, man. Listen, how about you cut me some slack, because I used to be in a wheelchair. Like, what? You used to be? What? Anyways, you could be paralyzed. You can end up paralyzed from the waist down and all of that stuff not work. So, but of course you can still be physically connected, you know, kissing and intimate and stuff like that. But as far as again, emotional versus physical, I think the emotional is definitely more important. Now, our emotional connection is just through communication. I think that's where I find the highest value of emotional connection I have with my wife is found in open dialogue and communication. Because again, I've stated this in previous episodes, but my favorite thing about my wife is that I can talk to her openly. I can talk to her about pornography, corn. I can talk to her about corn. I can talk to her about eating. And actually, she's my rock. This is my rock right here when it comes to like eating, because like she's really good at being like, no, you don't need the sweets. I'm like, oh, they're so good though. Pastries, I'm bad on pastries and cakes and stuff like that. Not like actual cake, not like a baked cake, but like a pastry or like a Danish or something like that. I am just terrible with.
As I plan to make a peanut butter.
As she plans to make a peanut butter pie, but she's pretty good with that. So, like, that's what she helps with, and my emotional connection with her again comes through that, comes through dialogue, comes through just openness. It's great to have somebody in your life that you can talk to about everything and feel not judged. I think she's the least judgmental person I've ever met in my life, at least for me. I say that and I specify that because when it comes to other people, though, you don't want to be judged by this woman, because we'll come home sometimes and it's like, did you see this? Did you see that? Like.
Yeah, going back to like.
Oh, Steffi's in here. I was excited when I saw him join. Thanks for joining, buddy.
Going back to us being involved in the community, volunteering and stuff. That is like the hardest, most suffocating thing as an introvert. But it's not for me. It's for the kids.
Yes.
And kids in the community. So that makes me laugh. That.
And it helps raise your level of trustworthiness. People will start to view you as trustworthy, which we are trustworthy individuals, unless you get on our bad side. But even then, like, because there's a particular person that's on my bad side right now, and I try my best. I try my best not to dislike this person, because I really do want to be more like Jesus in forgiving and forgetting and trying to love, especially those who I don't feel are deserving of it. But it stems from a moment where this guy just judged me harshly, and he doesn't even know me at all as a person.
Yeah.
But in that, like, I'm not getting violent with him or anything like that. And even when I went up to talk to the guy, he was scared. And I think he was scared because he thought I was going to get physical. I think sometimes people see the tattoos and they just assume one thing. Mm-hmm. When, like, yeah, back in my past, yeah, I would have thrown hands immediately because I was dumb. But now it's like, no, listen, I want to learn from you. I want to know what it is about me that you saw that made you, like, immediately react in this manner. Which I can say, he called me a bully, which I was like, okay, explain to me the things that I have done, the sequence of events that led up to you thinking that I'm a bully. And that way, I can learn from you. I can go over those actions, and maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. You know, because sometimes I can be the worst thing I think about me when it comes to community and society is I'm very sarcastic. Love sarcasm. It's my second language. I use it all the time. So with the kids, I'm also very sarcastic. So I think some of the parents don't recognize my sarcasm, or possibly because everybody is different. Possibly they see it as like, they disagree with my sarcasm, because some people are like, well, you shouldn't be sarcastic around kids. Like, come on, man. It's fun. Like, you're supposed to be sarcastic. Like, it teaches them how to be sarcastic too. Because, like, listen, there's nothing better than when a kid, like Lennox does it a lot. There's nothing better than when a kid retorts with some sarcasm back to you. You're like, oh, you picked that up? Yeah, I like that. So.
Yeah, well, but
that's... I know we kind of spun way off of the emotional connection versus physical connection topic, but
you mentioned that like I'm the least judgmental person when it comes to you, at least, but it's more me trying to change. I know that's something that is hard for me, which is funny too, because I'm kind of a hypocrite in that way, where sometimes I'll tell him, like, why these people, what they think of you is none of your business. Why do you care? At the end of the day, they might not be thinking about you at all. So.
And what up, Safi? Let us know if you want to come up. Sorry not to interrupt.
And then I used to be way worse. I used to get real defensive if he would talk to me about something that was, I don't know, uncomfortable or whatever. I used to get super defensive. But now I just try to think of what we used to teach the clients in one of my old jobs is when there's a situation, there's always three parts of it. Your side, the other guy's side, and the truth. So it's all about perspective. And if I want to, going back to that guilt and shame that I may have felt wanting to talk, growing up, talk about something and not wanting the kids to feel guilt and shame, I can't expect him to feel that guilt and shame. So if he's afraid to talk to me about something, then he's going to feel that guilt and shame, and that's kind of hypocritical. And
also, sorry, not to interrupt, but and also trying to live like Jesus. Remember, you got to slide it to the perfect thing.
Trying to slide.
Sorry, we're trying to slide something quick. This thing like pops up randomly because
like
it thinks we're unalived or something.
I don't know.
But well, now where was I going with that? Also because you, especially for me, I want to live a life more like Jesus. So I want to be forgiving and accepting and loving of others. I don't want to be judgmental. So I try to approach things through a lens of like what would, it sounds tacky and taboo, but what would Jesus do in this situation? And that's how I try to approach these matters. Because also, like her flaws aren't going to be the same as mine. Your flaws aren't going to be the same as mine. There are going to be people out there with relative flaws as mine, but I got to remember that that's what I try to remind myself. We're all flawed individuals. Mm-hmm. So like our immediate action is to kind of flip out and like, oh, you're judging me? You think this is me? But I feel like I handled that situation well, and I definitely was definitely calmer than what I would normally be, because and a lot of times like she's like, uh-oh, what's he gonna do? But I'm trying to be more accepting, trying to be more loving and less judgmental. So I don't know, maybe he was going through something that day, but he never did specify to me what it was that made him think I was a bully. I know that he said one of the days I made someone cry and want to quit, but even then I'm like, but what did I do that made him want to quit? I don't know. Other than maybe I sat him down, like I said, hey, go sit down, or I made him run a lap. But that's the thing too. We got to toughen up as a society too. You can't be fair weather little. What's the word for that they call the parents? Soft parenting. You can't be soft coaching.
Gentle.
Yeah, gentle parenting. You can't gentle coach. I'm sorry, you can't. Like you're there. At least this is my opinion, and feel free to share if you disagree. My opinion of coaching is you need to encourage and motivate. And those are the things you need to do. You need to believe in the kids. You need to get them to believe in each other. And you need to get them to work as a team. But a lot of times, and I've run into this with a lot of people that I meet, they just want to be like, that's the best kid. He gets all the start time. He gets to be the star. Blah, blah, blah. Don't care about the rest of you. Where me, I care about all of them. Yeah. I care about every single person on my team because I want every single person to improve.
I think that's part of my judgmental problem is that I look at the way people do something or act, and I'm like, I'm like, why can't they just act this way instead? Like,
yeah,
like
you want everyone to be like you, because I'm guilty of that as well.
But also, part of my judgment is like, it's not hard. It's not hard to just do it this way. Why aren't you just doing it this way?
Yeah, it's similar to like the judgment I was casting on the guy that I had a conversation with yesterday, because which I actually wrote it down as a note, I believe. No, I did not, but I want to. Eventually, I want to have a conversation on personal experience versus scientific data, but that's what this guy and I were discussing, and I definitely cast a judgment on him. But that's the reason I cast a judgment on him, is because I'm like, why? Like, who thinks like this? Why can't you think more like me? Why can't you be open-minded and be like, yeah, science can be right and scientists can be right, but also someone can do something and have a personal experience, and that can be 100% accurate and true as well. But like, he just was stuck up on this, like, yeah, but one person doesn't mean it. You need that reaction to happen in thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people. Like, no, you don't, because their reaction is still valid, if that makes sense. But we'll discuss that another time.
Because that reminds me,
because that's one that we could definitely go further into.
Oh yeah, and that reminds me of the fasting when we did the meat diet, and they didn't believe you when you.
Yeah, they didn't believe me when I said
movements.
that I didn't have a bowel movement in 2 weeks, and I was worried about it. So I called the doctor, and she was like, "If you're not having any bloating or pain, you're fine. Like, there's nothing to be concerned or worried about." And I felt, which I felt fine. I felt incredible. But I've had people like with that. That's my personal experience. And you're going to tell me that I didn't live it? Like, that's crazy to me. It's just crazy to me, because it's like...
That's a form of gaslighting.
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't tell me what happened to me and what didn't. But this woman's like, I'm a doctor, and I know that you would be unalived if that were a fact. Like, okay, well... I don't know. Then it was a miracle. It was a Christmas miracle. It was a God-given miracle.
But
that happened.
Real quick, going back to emotional versus
connection.
Physical. I agree with you that I don't think physical connection is as important. But again, you shouldn't make excuses. That shouldn't be an excuse to not be physically connected. You should be physically connected as much as you possibly can until you're old and gray. But I also think that is a problem with marriage these days is, sorry, but our bodies change from pregnancy, from age, from just, which I think everybody should be aging gracefully. It makes me sad, which you should write this down. This is something I'd like to talk about in the future, about the younger people getting Botox and stuff in their 20s, which is absolutely
I'm going to write
insanity.
it down. I'm going to write it down right now.
Write that down. But, so yeah,
what is it? Younger people getting Botox?
Yeah, younger people getting work done, and we should be aging.
Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
But so yeah, things change, and we are trying to make positive changes physically. So as we get older, we kind of our health lasts longer, because the field that I work in, I see so many older people in and out of the hospital all the time, and that was one of my wake-up calls as to why I wanted to lose weight and get healthy and be physically active, not only because I want to look... I'm going off again on a tangent, but there was one thing that I saw on Instagram that said, how about instead of letting ourselves go after we get married, we make ourselves look better for the person that chose to be with us for their
the mic doesn't pick that up when I'm scratching. Sorry.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
That's why I had to try and keep my hair out of mine. And that's true. Like, I get it. You get comfortable with the person that you're with, and you fall into habits and stuff. But wouldn't you want to be healthier? Not only so you keep looking decently for them as long as possible, but also
she does that, and I appreciate that.
And also so you can feel better. You're not miserable, in turn making them miserable. And then he's getting fresh now. But also, so you live longer with the person. But emotionally, yes,
Speaking of me touching her, sorry, that's actually about the emotional for me leads to physical, because sometimes I get so aroused. We can use that word. Aroused with her mind. Yeah, her mind. Like, Candace Owens is the only other woman that the same reaction to her. Like, I'm like, oh, just her intelligence is just, it's intriguing, it's arousing. I'm sure her husband would say the same thing, but
yeah, emotionally, I think we have and I don't know, it might be different from other people, and again, maybe this is not healthy, maybe I'm just insane, but I feel like and I know we're starting to go over a little bit, so I'll try to wrap it up.
No, you're good, you're good.
But I think we are emotionally connected even more because of our kind of trauma growing up was a little similar, and the fact that, like, we now, like, kind of gravitate towards each other, because I think we're kind of making up for the fact that we didn't have really people to talk to about emotions. We didn't really learn how to regulate our emotions, so we kind of are being there for each other now and teaching each other. And you can agree or disagree.
Sorry, I was doing I agree, but I was also doing my Erica Kirk.
Oh. Stop.
But yes, I agree 100%. Stop.
Stop. Just stop.
Just stop. But I agree 100%.
I'm going to start doing that to the kids. Maybe they'll listen.
I agree 100% with everything that you stated.
Oh, and I think it's nice. I mean, it's just, like he said, going back to just being open and honest and being a good listener when you have things you want to talk about that you're maybe embarrassed about or shameful about, or you just have a freak out like I do sometimes, and he can calm me down or he puts things into perspective.
I try to as much as I can, as best as I can. She does the same thing for me.
It's like I said, it's weird. We kind of like.
But I think that's another thing where men and women like come together, is because men are more logical. That's another thing. Men are more logical. Women use more emotion, men use more logic. Now, of course, there are extenuating circumstances where there are different people that are exceptions, but for the most part, men are definitely logical and women are definitely emotional. So sometimes it does help to just kind of poke that in there and be like, hey, real quick, you could do this instead, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it upsets her, and sometimes she takes it and goes, yeah, that's right.
Then I get mad that he's right, and I have to admit that. But going back to also like men, I think it's important too that he's able to open up to me as a man, because of the fact that, like he said, traditionally men kind of were toughen up, suck it up, keep it all inside,
get over it, and then unalive one day. Yeah,
and that's one of the things that I actually agree with liberals on, because that's a more of a liberal thinking for them to like have more mental health
over things that matter. Over things that matter.
Yes, because I could go on with another thing where I think the mental health therapy and all that
gives people excuses sometimes.
Excuses, and people are just making money off of it too.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother thing. And
that's a whole other thing too. We'll write that down as a note. Write that down as a note.
Yeah.
But so just to go over what we will be. Before I go over this, also tonight's the fight. Everybody be out there.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah, Paramount Plus. Get on Paramount Plus and watch Patty the Batty. That's who I'm rooting for. You can root for whoever you want. You can root for Justin Gaethje if you want. I don't mind him, and I know that like a lot of people would probably be like, "Well, man, America, Justin Gaethje, America." But I want Patty the Batty to win. That's who I like. That's who I'm rooting for, and I would put money on him.
Sorry, I was looking at
given the opportunity.
The
next thing or after that.
The next one.
Oh yeah, the next one's gonna be good. Next one's gonna be a good episode, guys. So be on the lookout for episode 6. Feel free to join in the live. Again, feel free to email us, TOLpodcast15@gmail.com. Feel free to comment and check us out on here, which is BU Podcast. It eventually will become Together Out Loud. And check us out on YouTube and Instagram, Together Out Loud, which we should eventually do a Facebook as well, because Facebook has lives too that we could always use. But
I know,
neither of us are on Facebook, so you won't find anything on Facebook. But we could that way just to spread it even more. But so feel free to reach out to us on any of those DM us.
Sorry to interrupt you. We can do a Facebook page where it's not like we don't see a feed. It's
It's just for that. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, okay. I'll look into that. And
then you can just get on it every now and then and check.
Yeah, because TikTok requires 50 followers to do live, and Instagram I think is 100.
So once we get the followers, also follow this podcast, because that way we can broadcast it from our actual podcast page rather than from her personal page.
Yeah. And so I don't know if Facebook has a stipulation, because I know TikTok also has a stipulation, or YouTube also has a stipulation.
And Instagram does too, right?
Correct. So if we ever do live right now on Instagram too, it would be on my personal one as well. And we want to make it more towards our brand, so you can associate it. Not that we care that, the more the merrier on personal pages too, but if you don't really care about our personal stuff that we post.
You can follow us on our personal pages as well. Right. But next week we'll be going over, and this one will be a little later in the afternoon. It'll probably be like 2:35-ish. Probably 2:35. Going live 2:35. But probably. But we'll update you with that as well. But going live 2:35 next Saturday, which will be the 13th 31st. So we'll be
Finally, January's
over after 6 months. At least that's what it feels like. But we'll be going over traditional roles versus modern realities, which would be a good one. So watch out for episode 6. Keep your eyes peeled.
I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, we'll be talking about what we do traditionally and what we do non-traditionally, and so on and so forth. A lot of conversation about that. That's gonna be a tough one because I know it's gonna upset some of those people who are like, down with the baby Rocky, no traditional roles. Sorry, that's exactly what they sound like. That's my impersonation.
I got it.
But that'll be a fun one. Make sure you tune in. And we love you guys. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you following. And we appreciate your love back in return. I don't know, what keeps shining on there? Is it a reflection from over there? Or is it an angel? Because that's Jesus.
I didn't see it.
Praise Jesus. Find something to be thankful for today. Show some gratitude in the Lord and everything that he gives you. And we love you guys. And thank you for tuning in.
I'm thankful for the sunshine and the cold. Oh, also real quick, if you're on the East Coast, Southern East Coast, Central East Coast, be careful.
Yeah, be safe, guys. Stay safe. Love you. Oops, she's trying to close it.
Bye, guys.